Hi everyone, it's Nikki here, and I'm coming to you from my pack house office today. I'm not in the glass houses, it's still dark out there. It is just after 6 in the morning here in New South Wales, and yeah, it's a little bit dark in there. We are also in the middle of a crop rotation in Glasshouse 1. So we did a big spray last night, a big disinfection spray, and to keep all the glasshouse and all the chemical nice and active, they've really increased the humidity. So it's really, the fogging has been going. So it's lovely and misty in there, and hopefully it's going to be beautiful. And when it dries out this morning, we will wipe down the gutters, and then we've got two teams going through, and they will roll out the new gutter covers. That's just to protect our gutters from any rusting. And then we'll put out the slabs. The slabs will be laid up on the gutters, and then we'll be putting the spikes into the slabs and then starting to fill the slabs up. And so the crop rotation is a real process-driven procedure. We pulled the crop out over the weekend. It was a really good crop in Glasshouse 1, and we're really pleased with the results there. But all good things need to come to an end, I suppose. So that's a little bit of an update on that crop. Our crop in Glasshouse 2 is looking amazing. It is 6.5 weeks old. On Thursday, it will be 7 weeks old. It's been lowered probably twice a week, probably being clipped probably 2.5 times a week, and it's yielding really well at the moment. So really happy. But apart from updating you on our crops and what's happening at Family Fresh Farms, I'm here to deliver episode 4. Yes, for those of you who've been watching along, I committed to doing 24 episodes of a vlog or a podcast by the 31st of December 2026. So I've done 3 podcasts already. The first one was on culture, second one was on training, and then I did the one on leadership. And then today it's all going to be about communication. And basically communication sits underneath all of the first 3 episodes. It's so essential. So to be able to do good training, to be able to lead, and to be able to create a wonderful culture in your business, you need really good communication. So I'm going to talk to you about communication, but not communication out of a textbook. It's communication that we do here at Family Fresh Farm. Some fun things that breaks a little bit of the mold and makes us unique in a way. So first of all, I start off with saying, excuse me, I've got a bit of a husky voice. I went down to the HFF, which is the Hydroponic Farmers Federation, a couple of weeks ago down in Melbourne. It was a great gathering, but every time I go to Melbourne, I seem to come away with a cold. I feel 100%, but I just sound a bit croaky and husky. I'm trying to think that it's a sexy look, but I'm not convinced it is. Okay, let's start with communication. So I think let's start with some basics that we do, which is a little bit fun. So we've got a beautiful, busy pack shed. It's really noisy. We've got multi-head weighers moving. We've got flow wrap machines. It's really bustling. We've got our beautiful Power Bees, Bogarts Power Bees, bringing in fruit from the glass houses. And we've got forklifts going up and down. And it's a real happening place. But we've got the tipping line, which is the front of the machines, where we tip the fruit onto the multi-head, onto the belts that go into the multi-head weigher. And then we've got the end of the pack line, which is where the pallet packers pack the pallets. And so they've got different needs. So the tippers at the front of the line, they need the forklift driver to deliver them pallets of fruit so they can tip onto the line. The pallet packers on the other side, when their pallet is full and got all the trays are full of all the fruit, they want the forklift drivers to come to take the pallet off, to take it to the dispatch area. So 2 different needs, and both pretty time critical, because we want to keep packing as quick as possible. We don't want the machines to run out of fruit. So what we discovered, and it was a really great idea, I think Vanessa or the team came up with it. So we've got these stupid little things. This is a little chicken, and this has got quite a distinct noise, and that's used for the tippers. So they squeeze that a couple of times. The forklift driver, he's busy, he hears that, he goes immediately, I know that fruit needs to be delivered to the tippers. But on the other hand, you've got the pallet packers, they have this, and it's got a little honking sound. And when they play that, the forklift knows, okay, I need to go to the pallet packers and I need to take pallets off the rack. So just simple communication that is quick, it's effective, it's fun. People know the signals, And I really encourage you, just listen out for the small cues. Instead of wasting time, forklifts going to the wrong end of the packing line, they go exactly to where the pressure is needed. That way we can keep things running and more efficient. Okay, let's talk about other ways of communicating. So we'll get more into the practical. So when we do all the training here, which is really super important for our team, everyone goes through a leadership and a communications training. So there's two main things we talk about communication. It's always got to be your own authentic way of communicating. It's got to be respectful. So, and it is a little bit of a juggle. So we're a multicultural organization, like many companies in Australia and around the world, to be fair. We have our master grower, Patrick, who's from Holland. We've got Vanessa, who's our pack shed manager, and she's from Germany. Wade and I are from Zimbabwe. And then we've got Linda, who's from South Africa. And then we've got the bulk of our team who are from Vanuatu. Now, interesting enough, Vanuatu, they have a very big, the chiefs, the tribal system where your elders are very much respected and they command the shots. Same thing with the religious leaders, they command the shots. So it's quite male dominated. The men definitely take the lead with a lot of the communication and telling people what to do. But when people come to Australia, they are treated just like equals. Everyone is equal. It doesn't matter if you're young, you're old, you're male, you're female. It doesn't matter what religion you are, you're all equal. So it gets a little bit complicated when you've got a lovely, young, up-and-coming concrete walker or a supervisor like Bright telling an older guy who's got sort of like elderly status back on the island what to do. But as long as Bright is respectful and calls him like Uncle Coral or Uncle or Pua or Abu Basil, they then realize he's being respectful to them and he's telling them what to do. It's the same thing as when we are uplifting with some of our beautiful and fantastic leaders who are female. We train in the training that people need to respect our supervisors no matter who they are and how old and what gender they are. So, but it's really important that we support the leaders and we encourage people to listen and take on the advice that the leaders and the supervisors are giving them. And also we need to be very understanding of different people's approach to leadership. Sometimes people from Europe, they're quite direct and you don't need to be offended by it. It's just the way that they are. They don't have time to waste. They want to tell you the information and move on. There's no time for niceties and all that. But the same thing is that you've got to be careful of sometimes people's body language. So, and working it out straight away, the things that offend other people, sometimes the young people, when they get up in the morning, they are maybe a little bit more sleepy than the older team. And, instead of saying good morning, they go, or they nod, or and that's disrespectful. So you've got to remind everyone, please, this is a big business. You need to be using your words, using your body language. A positive body language is also a very important way of communicating. So it's no good saying one thing and your body language is saying another. Your tone and your body language is so vital. And sometimes, you need to make sure people soften their body language so that it comes across positively and it comes across matching the words that are coming out their mouth. The other thing that we do, and it's really important, a lot of our team, everyone has different communication styles. So remember, it's a bit like training. It's throwing and receiving a ball. So when you're giving out instructions, you like throwing a ball, but you need to throw the ball into the hands of the receiver. So you need to throw the information and the knowledge in a way that the person who's receiving the communication can receive it and receive it well. So we do everything in English and in Bislama. Remember, it's really important here at Family Fish Farms that we are encouraging people to understand, to listen, and become more knowledgeable about English, because it does help when they go back to the islands and they're working in tourism or hotels or fishing boats or charters, that they can communicate with the guests and vice versa. They can understand what the guests are telling them and wanting them to do. But so we continue with the English, but for 100% understanding, we are making sure that Bislama is repeated so that it's in the language that they are accustomed to. So when we do instructions, they're short, they're sharp, they're to the point. So we first tell people what we're doing. We show them what they're doing, because some people, they need to see it, some people need to hear it, and some people need to learn by doing. And then we let people do it, and then you give them feedback, and you then tweak the technique until it's exactly how we want it done. But the other thing is refreshing and repeating the information, first of all in the morning, after morning tea, after lunch, so that if anyone's veering off, and it's a bit like Chinese whispers, that's, you tell someone the message and then someone else tells them, and by the time it gets to the last person, they totally, they've got the wrong end of the stick. So we talk about repeating, refreshing, and constantly making sure that when we tell someone what to do, we ask them to repeat back to us, what did you understand I asked you to do? And it's really a super interesting thing, is that sometimes you realize, wow, it's not exactly what I meant. And so we do in our training, and I'm going to use a little bit of visuals. I get this little thing up here, and I draw this in a whiteboard, and I cover this up so no one can see it. And then I ask everyone to get the piece of paper and to copy what I ask them to do. So I say to them, okay, draw a diamond, put 2 circles in it, a triangle in the middle, a semicircle line, a little squiggle on the top, a line at the bottom of the diamond, and 2 triangles at the bottom. And I try to be specific, but often you get this. Now, this is not at all what I asked them to do, but it's got all the elements. It's got a diamond, it's got the circles, it's got the triangle, it's got the squiggle on the top. It's got everything that I asked, but it's not in the right, right format. So you can understand very clearly and very easily your words and someone else's interpretation can be totally polar opposites. So it's really good to check in with people with what they understood. The other thing is we're a very, very tight-knit company. We've got 2 glasses and a pack house really close together. And so we are seeing everyone all the time. So we see them at morning tea, we see them at lunch, checking in, how are you? How's everything going? How are your kids? I just spoke to Polly this morning. How's Barney? He's in Fiji, 2nd year of university. He's doing assignments soon, and then he's on holiday, finishes, first trimester, semester of this year. Just checking with Polly. How's he? Happy? Yes. Oh, he sprained his ankle last week. Wow. Is it okay? Can he walk? Checking in with people and finding out what is going on in their life really catches me up. And it's good communication and finding out how she's feeling. I can also tell there's a couple of people. We've got a beautiful Mawson in the pack line, and I can walk past and go, hi Mawson, how are you going? And I get and immediately I know there's something wrong. So I go up and say, what's going on, Mawson? Oh, this lady here, she's not doing a good job. Why is she not doing a good job? He shrugs his shoulders. No. And I've learned also sometimes keep quiet when you ask the question, especially with people from Vanuatu, that sometimes it takes them time to give me the response. They're thinking of the words, they're making sure they're getting the right English words. I'm happy for them to speak in Bisalama. I pretty understand most of it. But the other thing is that sometimes they're trying to make sure it's what they're going to say is appropriate, it's safe, it's what I'm expecting. And so you leave it. And just when the silence gets like really uncomfortable, you need to keep quiet even more. And eventually he'll come around and he'll explain, oh, someone's tired, they went out last night, whatever. And then I can attack the problem and go in and sort things out and move people around. But it's just waiting. And sometimes I call it waiting for the gold. So you ask someone a question, and just when you think, oh, they haven't understood what I've asked, I wait a little bit more. And just when it's getting uncomfortable, normally they respond. And the real gold is when you allow people the freedom and the safety to actually tell you what they think. And when they trust you, it's absolutely magic. And a lot of the times I ask one question, I go, how are you? How are things going? Is there a lot to pick here? And the response is totally left field. But it's something that they're wanting to communicate with me desperately, but they don't know how to approach it. So I'll say, how's the crop? What's a lot of fruit? What's the quality like? Oh, Mama, I wanted to tell you that I need to go to the bank this afternoon. My wife's very sick. She's got bladder cancer. Wow, that's something I didn't expect. How is she? Where did she know? And then I ask the question. And it's been a burning thing for them to communicate with me. And I feel terrible that, we've got to that far. And then I go and make everything happen. So communicating and making people feel heard, The other thing that I've learned is that sometimes with people from Vanuatu, when they have done something wrong or they've disappointed you, and they laugh and they giggle, and it's when you say to them, hey, what were you doing, what were you thinking, whatever, and they start to laugh and you feel quite disrespected, and you go, wow, that's a bit, it makes me feel humiliated that they're not taking their job seriously, until you actually understand that sometimes they are mortified and they don't have the words to say, I'm sorry, I didn't understand, and they're embarrassed, and the embarrassment is communicated in laughter. So once I understood that, I go, okay, they're embarrassed, they're mortified, they let me down. And then I go, okay, this is serious. In our culture, we get upset when you laugh and you don't take safety seriously, or you don't take your job seriously. And then they understand. So it's communicating both ways. I also find that learning different people's communication styles is absolutely essential, and we're all doing it. You're reading body language, you're working out if people are tired, they're upset. Um, you know, you learn to understand that there's more to just getting people like a robot doing the job. They've got human, they are they have families, they have issues, they're just like you and I. And sometimes the world feels really heavy on them, and sometimes they're in a good mood and everything's going well. So reading people, watching their faces, watching their body language, and eyeing out the people that when they are down, they need someone to communicate to, and just sometimes to listen, not always to sort out their problems, but to understand what's going on. I want to share one last story before I finish off about communication. We've got beautiful Carly, who leads our accounts team, and she is super, super intelligent. She is a CPA, and she is so considered, very a high C if you're doing the disc profiling, loves the attention details, gets down into the weeds, but she doesn't like to be put on the spot. She doesn't like to be going, oh, Carly, can you quickly do this? Or can you tell me your opinion on that? She likes you to ask her and give her time to consider, get the facts and figures, and to report back to you when she has a qualified statement to say. And I've learned that's how she likes it. So if I'm going to meet with her, I can send her a text, say, Carly, I need this information as soon as you can. I understand you're busy. Being respectful of her time too and her job, and say, okay, when it suits you, can you come back to me? I need this. And she loves it. She thrives on being given the time to give me a considered and calculated and qualified answer. So I hope that helps. There's lots of beautiful communication, and I love it when our team are listening to good music or they're singing, because that's their body language, that they're at peace, they're happy, they're moving along, doing their job, and they are free to always speak up. We always say we've got open door policy. If you want to speak to us, come up, speak to us, tell us if you need. And also sometimes people need privacy, so they don't have to overshare. They can say, I just need a day off. They don't need to tell us why, or I just need some time, or I need to go on the bus. As long as they feel safe and secure and supported. We do have a fantastic leadership team, management team, who are constantly checking in with people, finding out how they are, talking to them, and communicating freely about what we have to do, what the jobs are for the day, what's coming up, what's expected, where the pressure points are coming. So often we qualify, this weekend's going to be busy, there's a lot of fruit coming in, we've got big orders. People are then qualified and understand that pressure is going to be on. They need to sleep well, they need to eat well, they need to rest, they need to be switched on, because the pressure is coming on. So with no further ado, I'm going to sign out from my little pack shed office. I hope you have a really great day. Goodbye.